computer science video with me, Mr Goff, from mrgoff.com. This video will focus on the core concepts of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming, or OOP for short, is a programming paradigm based on viewing problems as objects. Each object has attributes. These are essentially variables that store its characteristics, and methods, or behaviors, that define what operations can be performed on these attributes. In object-oriented programming, a class is a definition or blueprint for creating objects of a certain type. A class defines all the attributes common to objects of that class. It also defines all the methods that can be used to access and modify those attributes. The constructor is the first method we define in a class. This is the method that is called when we create a new instance of an object. We pass it any values that are needed to populate the attributes of the new instance of the object. Below, you can see a definition for a class animal. We started in Python with the keyword class and the name of our class. Inside the brackets would go any parent class that it might have. We'll be talking more about that in a further course. Underneath this, we've got our constructor method. This is what's known as a magic method. This is because it has a special role to create a new instance of an object each time we call that class. The constructor is always defined as _init _. We pass self, which is this instance of the object. I'll be talking more and explaining more about this a little later in the video. And we pass the specific values name, type and age that will be the name, type and age of this instance of an animal. These are then stored as self.name, self.type and self.age, meaning the name, type and age for this instance of an object. Instantiation is the name given to the process of creating a new object of a class. The process of creating a new object of a class is to call the name of the class and pass any needed values. You can see in the example below that if I try to print the objects, all I can see is the fact that there are two objects and some hexadecimal code. I can't see any of their values. Below that, you can see that I can access the values for each object using dot notation. That is, by saying animal1.name, animal1.type, and animal1.age, I will access the values for each of those attributes. You can also see in the example that each instance of the animal class, that is, animal1 and animal2, each has its own different name, type, and age. Accessing an object's attributes directly from outside the object itself violates the principle of encapsulation that is at the core of OOP. This says an object should encapsulate its attributes and its methods. This means you should only interact with an object from another object via its methods. This is the idea of information hiding in practice, as one object cannot see the attributes of another other than via its methods. It also means that, strictly speaking, we shouldn't be using the dot notation that we just saw to access the values of attributes except from within the methods of that particular object. In order to avoid directly accessing the attributes of objects, we provide them with a set of methods called getters and setters. Getters, sometimes called accessor methods, are used to return the value of an attribute for an external object. Setters, sometimes called mutator methods, are used to change the value of an attribute. As you can see in the example below, when we're making the getters and setters, it is okay to refer directly to self.name, self.type, and self.age because we are within the class itself. However, later when we're in the main program, we should be using getters and setters to affect the class. You can also see the effect of calling animal1.setAge when we then print out the details of animal1 again, and you can see that its age has been changed. Self is the concept that many students find most confusing about object-oriented programming. Self refers to this instance of the object. When I instantiate animal1 as being equal to an animal class with Fred, dog and 7 as its attributes, animal1 is self, and I'm saying attach these specific values to the attributes for this instance of an animal. When I say animal2.getName, animal2 is self, and I'm saying for this instance of an animal, get me the specific name. Universal Modeling Language, or UML for short, is used to define object-oriented programs. The UML diagram for a class is a box split into 3 sections, with one for the class name, one for its attributes and their data types, as well as a final box for its methods. A string method is another magic method like the constructor method and shares the double underscore notation, $str. A string method can be given to an object to easily return its contents in a way that the user can view. If an object has a string method, instead of the user seeing the main object with its hexadecimal notation and not being able to see what's in it, if they print the object now, what will be returned is its string method. So you can see in the example below where we've defined a string method that now when we print animal1, instead of seeing the object, we actually get this string method returned to tell us a lot of information about the particular object. That brings us to the end of this video introducing OOP. Join me again in the next video where I'm going to put this particular class to work in a basic program, then set you a challenge that I'll also run through the solution to create your own class and basic program to use it. Use the resources at mrgoff.com to help you revise computer science, and until next time, it's bye for now.